This podcast is part of the GonnaGeek network. The opinions expressed may not represent other podcasts or affiliates of GonnaGeek. Check out more podcasts at GonnaGeek.com and get ready because geekiness starts in 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to Crimson Comet, a fan podcast about the TV show dedicated to the Scarlet Speedster himself, CW's The Flash. Welcome to Episode 5 of Crimson Comet. This week we'll be discussing Justice League Season 1, Episodes 12 and 13, The Brave and the Bold. I'm your host, Haley, aka Awesome Engineering Girl.
I'm John, aka Lobster.
And I'm Will, aka Rum Daddy.
If you'd like to leave us feedback either on The Flash or on the podcast itself, you can visit our website, crimsoncometpodcast.com. All of our contact information is there. You can find us on Twitter at Crimson Podcasts. On Facebook, we're Crimson Comet Podcast. And you can call our voicemail line, 423-FLASH-53. That's 423-352-7453.
Yay!
Oh, we got some feedback this week.
Oh, I love the feedback we got this week.
Yeah. Andy hit us up on Twitter, and he said he also hasn't seen the Highlander movie, but there's a Highlander...
There can be only one.
There's an animated TV series about the Highlander, and he shared that with us.
Oh, I'm going to have to watch that.
That I've actually never seen. There's a Highlanders TV series live action. There's an animated show. There was a spin-off, and there's been a couple, TV movies.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about the spin-off. It was the chick with the really short hair.
Yeah, they called it The Raven.
The Raven, right.
But they did one of the better of the spin-off movies actually merges the TV Highlander with the movie Highlander, and they work that out. And that one's actually pretty good. The other one's crap. But.
Yeah, the first one's the best, and then everything else is complete crap. And then I think it's the
Highlander
fourth...
Endgame.
Good,
yeah.
It was kind of good. Yeah.
You know, I don't think I've seen the first Highlander movie, but I think I've seen one of the terrible sequels to it.
I'm so sorry. Well, the first one is very, very 90s. Everyone's got big shoulder pads. He's got a ponytail.
I love that movie so much.
I know. I really love that movie.
Jeans, sneakers, and a trench coat is what he wears.
Right. Oh, it's got some of the best transitions in film up to that time. So every time they went from ancient Highlands, Scotland to contemporary New York, they would do these really cool transitions. Like they're running around in cars in an underground parking lot underneath Madison Square Garden. And then as the car goes up the ramp, the camera moves up like you're going to follow the car up above ground. And when it comes up above ground, you're in the Highlands of Scotland.
Awesome.
Really great shit like that.
All right, we'll stop talking about Highlander now.
All right, our listener, Star Saber, left us a comment on the GonnaGeek forums, which you can find either at GonnaGeek.com or you can search GonnaGeek on the tapatalk app if you have a smartphone. He said that the police station mural is a giant Easter egg all on its own.
Huh.
I'm going to have to see that.
Yeah, I want to get a closer look at it.
It's got this big emblem that says Truth, Liberty, Justice, and then there's a bunch of Greco-Roman gods on it.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at it now.
Apparently, each of those gods is supposed to represent one of the members of the Justice League.
It absolutely does.
Because there's Zeus, there's someone with a bow and arrow and quiver, probably Artemis. There's Poseidon, aka Aquaman. There's somebody with the skills of justice. That would probably be Wonder Woman. Somebody with a hammer.
I wonder who that is. And then there's a guy with wings next to Wonder Woman. Oh, wait. It looks like the FTD floral guy.
No. That's the Flash. That's,
you're right. That would be the Flash, yeah.
That's Achilles Achilles, right?
Yeah, Achilles.
Mercury. Hermes.
Oh, yeah, Mercury.
Achilles is the guy with the bad ankle.
Oh, you're right. The guy whose entire body was armor except for his ankle.
Oh, my gosh, this is amazing. So, yeah, Batman. It spells out.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So Superman is Zeus, Jupiter. Batman is Hades, Pluto. Wonder Woman is Hera, Juno. Flash is Hermes, Mercury. Green Arrow is Apollo. Aquaman is Poseidon. Green Lantern as Hephaestus or Vulcan. Oh, okay, with the hammer.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, that's amazing. I want that for my wall. Justice.
That is really cool.
You want your wall engraved with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? And then, a thin coat of gold dust.
Nice.
Very nice.
All right,
nice find.
Thanks, Star Saber.
Thank you.
Okay. We also got a voicemail from Adam. So you guys want to listen to that?
Yes, please.
Let's hear it.
Hey, guys. This is Adam. You were talking about Clancy Brown being in the next episode. he actually has a pretty strong connection to DC stuff. He has voiced Lex Luthor in a lot of the animated projects they've done, including Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. In fact, one of my favorite episodes from those combined series is The Great Brain Robbery, which features him and Flash, so it's Wally West, and Grodd, so that might be an episode for you guys to watch at some point in the future when there isn't an episode on. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Nice. Love me some Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, since, we decided we were going to watch 2 episodes of it, I can't watch things out of order, of course, so I just went and watched the whole series.
Of course you did.
Oh, wow.
Well, most of it. I've still got a little bit of season 2 left. But yeah, I've seen Lex Luthor on there so far, and I was wondering why that voice sounded familiar.
Duns, no sense of humor. My favorite thing from Highlander.
Clancy Brown was a voice on Gargoyles as well, which is kind of one of my favorite 90s cartoons.
I loved that.
I loved it too, and I remember that half the cast of Star Trek was on it too.
Absolutely, yeah. Riker, Troy,
even
Michael Dorn, Brent Spiner. Nichelle Nichols was in one episode. Avery Brooks. Or Nichelle Nichols was in a couple. She was a recurring. Avery Brooks was on there. That's a great show. Check out Gargoyles.
Yeah, I think it's all available on YouTube right now.
Oh, then you don't even have to go through the Netflix file. Yeah. Great.
We got 1 review on iTunes, and
this is my favorite. It's my favorite review that we've had so far. My favorite comment.
He was a little disappointed at our lack of comic book knowledge. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit.
And what did he say?
Clean your room and do your homework. None of you 3 hosts knew anything about Gorilla Grodd. At least one of you had the decency to read the first paragraph of his Wikipedia page. But the lack of knowledge won't help you stand out in this cluttered world of Flash podcasts.
So you have heard of us.
All right, Gallanty, I have to say, I love it when we get reviews of people who've actually listened to the show, and because the clean your room joke is a joke that Will made when he said that he didn't want people to write clean your room on the iTunes review. So I love that Gallanty,
he's a big fan.
The review, pulled that out. Yep. And you are absolutely right to call us out on our lack of knowledge on Gorilla Grodd. We are not experts on the Flash mythology, but
we're working
in the interest of learning more, we specifically chose episodes of the Justice League cartoon that featured Gorilla Grodd to talk about this week. So we're working on it.
Right, and I think I've mentioned this before. I'm reading all of Marvel Comics from the beginning. I've decided I'll start reading all of DC Comics from the beginning too. So
because she's an underachiever that way.
I'll get to it eventually. I can't read it out of order. I can't just jump in at the Flash. That would be crazy. Who could do that?
Right. Of course. Could never.
Yeah, you have to start at the beginning. Like you said earlier, start at the beginning, work your way forward.
Right.
Good reviews, bad reviews. They're reviews, they have heard of us. And that's what I enjoy hearing.
And so, Gallanty, we thank you for your review, and we hope...
Thank you for listening, and thank you for commenting.
Thank you for listening. We hope you're still listening, and we'll continue to listen. And you're right. There are a lot of Flash podcasts out there, so we appreciate everyone who is listening.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. That did come out sincere, didn't it? Because I was being sincere. People tend to not believe me.
Totally sincere. All right, we don't have ratings to talk about this week because there was not a new episode.
Because there was
Flash.
an election.
There was?
Right.
Did everybody get out to vote?
Wait, who won in Central City? Is there a new mayor?
Me. I'm the new mayor of Central City.
Oh, you're the new mayor of Central City? Okay.
I will be a benevolent dictator.
Yay.
You will use your mind control, Ray, to make everyone gather in the central square and chant your name.
Yep. I will also change my name to Grodd.
Oh, and you'll wear a funky little helmet, too, with little ruby in the front?
It's pretty snazzy.
Gorilla Maley. That would be good. Gorilla Haley.
The girl whose name rhymes.
Except it doesn't if you pronounce it right.
I know.
Wait. No,
it's Haley Malley.
Malley. Okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
All right. Let's talk news.
Yeah, there wasn't really any Flash news this week, but there was some talk about the Wonder Woman movie that's supposed to be coming out, and that's DC, which is close enough for me, because I kind of wanted to talk about this.
And we saw Wonder Woman this week, so, we
did.
Flashback.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of flashback.
It says that there's supposed to be, there's plans for 3 movies featuring Wonder Woman, and that they're all supposed to take place in different periods of time.
Okay, explain.
The first one is taking place in the 1920s.
Oh, okay, I getcha.
And then the next one is going to be World War II.
Yes.
And the third one will take place in modern day.
And the first one, she's a flapper, and she'll be featured in one of Gatsby's parties.
I love this idea.
Yeah.
I really, really love this idea because it's going to let them do backstory. It's going to let them do some world building for the DC universe, the way that Captain America has done it, and Agent Carter is going to do it with the Marvel TV universe. And I think one of the big stumbling blocks that has held Wonder Woman back in terms of getting a modern interpretation is that it feels like the very idea feels kind of dated, right? And so to do it this way, I think is fantastic. And wasn't the Linda Carter Wonder Woman show, didn't that start out?
It started off during World War II, and then in season 2 or 3, they just all of a sudden it starts, and it's contemporary Los Angeles.
Wow, I think this is really cool. And I guess Wonder Woman herself is kind of timeless, right? Like, she doesn't age.
Well, Linda Carter doesn't age. Have you seen her lately? And she's like 100 years old.
And I think Gal Gadot has the look for it, too. Like, she could definitely fit with that. So I like this. I like this idea.
It's the one DC movie that I'm really looking forward to is the Wonder Woman movie.
Well, we've been waiting for a Wonder Woman movie for years now.
Right.
You know, they did Batman and they did Superman, and we're like, where's Wonder Woman? Where's Wonder Woman? And then they came out with Batman versus, well, that hasn't come out yet, but Dawn of Justice is coming out soon. And Batman v Superman DOJ.
V Justice v STD.
It's a really complicated legal battle.
It happened. Anyway, now we're finally getting the Wonder Woman that we've been waiting for, and I'm really excited to see what they do with her.
And actually, they're saying that Joss Whedon is supposed to be leaving Marvel. I'm kind of hoping he's leaving to go do the Wonder Woman movie.
That would be amazing.
It would. Because he wanted to do one a while back, and they were like, nah.
Or like one of the billion Star Wars movies they're going to make in the next 10 years.
He can do both.
Yeah, he absolutely can.
I can't imagine Star Wars with Joss Whedon. It would be completely different.
It could be good.
I don't know. Rebels kind of has that feel, right? It's kind of got a Firefly feel.
Not necessarily the main next trilogy they're doing, but they're talking about doing a lot of spin-off movies with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Whedon would be good for that.
Well, they've created the universe.
What if he did a one-shot where it was like Firefly, but the names of the characters were different and they were in the Star Wars universe, but it was basically Firefly, and they just did like a one-off movie? That would be cool.
That would be really good.
All right. But yeah, definitely this Wonder Woman stuff. And I like Gal Gadot for Wonder Woman.
I'll wait and see. She's not the person I would have picked for the role.
I liked her in the Fast and Furious movies.
Oh, is that where she's from?
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I recognize her from. I know she's done other stuff, but that kind of stuck out. I'm like, oh, that girl. Yeah. So I can see it.
Gotcha.
Okay, do you guys want to talk about a talking, mind-controlling gorilla now?
Yes.
Only if it's animated. I'm not ready for live action yet.
3 dimensions is too much. 2 dimensions is just right.
Where to start with this?
Let's start with a little bit of backstory because you have to kind of understand this show's pedigree. So Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, who did the Batman animated series in the 90s, which I think we can all pretty much agree is like our favorite incarnation of Batman, right? Like
Absolutely.
That show nailed it. So
Definitely.
They went on to do other stuff. They developed a Superman animated series. They developed a Justice League show, and then they kind of spun that off into Justice League Unlimited, and there were a Wonder Woman show, and that kind of all like built off of that. So this show kind of has that pedigree of it's done by people that understand comics and animation. And don't forget that the Batman animated series had a very heavy influence on the comics. The characters of Harley Quinn and Renee Montoya originated on the Batman animated series created by Paul Dini, and the backstory for Mr. Freeze, where he's really torn up about his wife dying, that then jumped to the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger and into the comics. So this show is kind of pedigreed in that fashion. So this is kind of like the evolution of comic book animated TV, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so the person who wrote the script for these 2 episodes, Dwayne McDuffie, who did a lot of work on the Justice League animated series, also created Static Shock, which won Emmy Awards, and he was one of the prominent African Americans working in the comic book industry. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2011. But he kind of really left his mark on this universe as well. So this show, in particular, these episodes, kind of encapsulate where comic book animation was sort of in that stage. So this was 2001, 2002 was about when this show, and we watched it, right? It was not widescreen. There was only a little bit of like computer animation that they used sparingly in like the opening. In the opening, yeah. And it was a little clumsy. It looked a little rough by today's standards.
I was watching it with my brother and I was like, oh, it looks like an old cheap video game.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's why they kept everybody in shadow.
Yeah. Yeah, they knew what they could do and what they couldn't do. But again, so this show is kind of where that is. And they still do a lot of DC animated stuff. There's a lot of direct-to-disc or download movies that they do, including some Justice League movies. And so DC is still very active in animation. There's still Batman shows and stuff that they're putting out. So I think, especially with this episode, they draw off the current incarnation of the Justice League, like Green Lantern is Jon Stewart, who's African-American. They bring in Martian Manhunter and Hawkgirl. And I haven't watched that much of this show, but just from the episode that we watched, they kind of draw on the Justice League's deep bench in the second episode there. We don't see Superman, which I kind of enjoyed, but because he could just fly in and fix everything, I guess. But
basically, Wonder Woman was doing that.
Yeah, Wonder Woman kind of filled the role there.
Yeah.
So this is kind of where we're coming from talking about this episode. I just wanted to give you guys kind of that backstory. And then I think it's really interesting because the Flash is featured prominently. And I think we can draw some connections with the Flash that we're seeing right now in the CW too.
Right. I think this Flash, the one in this animated show, is a little more of a clown than the Flash that we're seeing.
A lot more.
Kind of the snarkiness of him.
Yeah, I wrote down in my notes that he was basically Freakazoid. The way he was like drawn and the way he kind of moved around and acted. Did you guys ever watch Freakazoid?
No.
Mm-mm.
Oh, man. Okay. Get on that.
I am your freakazoid.
Let me just put that at the bottom of the list here.
Yeah. That's okay. You'll probably get to it by the end of the weekend, the way you go through things.
No, definitely,
movies, yeah.
Definitely check out Freakazoid. So Freakazoid was like a late 90s, early 2000s animated show, and basically what happens is there's a computer nerd, his cat walks across the keyboard, and he gets zapped into cyberspace.
See, that's why you can't trust cats.
That's exactly why you can't trust cats.
That's why I'm a dog person.
And it basically gives him reality warping powers. He's kind of a cross between the genie from Aladdin and the Mask, played by Jim Carrey. So he's got like kind of like this madcap sense of humor that he uses to fight crime. It's great. It's a WB thing.
Way too much energy.
Okay, so this episode starts off, there's like a chase scene, and then there's a scene in a lab. Then we get to the scene where the gorilla is driving a car.
No. Before that, they're digging the ditch in the middle of Africa, and all of a sudden these monkeys on spaceships come out of nowhere and then take off. And what's her name? This chick pops her head up, and she's like, so what was that? And I'm sitting there going, what the hell was that?
So, of course, the woman's doing all the work, digging the ditch, and the guy's just standing around watching.
As happens.
So in the middle of Africa, there's a hidden futuristic city of apes, basically.
Right, Gorilla City.
And then this gets dropped, and we go to basically the Seinfeld diner, where the Flash is just like plowing through food and trying to hit on chicks.
Right, because there's nothing sexier than a guy scarfing down 20 cheeseburgers.
In a red leotard.
With golden boots.
But then he saves the chicks.
Who don't appreciate it at the end because they don't recognize
She does. She's like, we should have given him our number.
No, they're the same ones that turn up all the way.
I know they are, but that's when they're mind controlled.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
But anyways, we get to a scene where a gorilla's driving, and he's from this futuristic, super advanced city, but he knows how to drive stick.
Mm-hmm. I know. I was
surprised his feet could reach the pedals, but whatever.
And then
the first car chase.
Well, that one's the lab guys.
Yeah, and of course the Asian is the terrible driver. I mean, come on,
that's
guys. Really,
racist.
Really, come on.
I made the same note, but I wasn't going to say it out loud. For questions and comments, you could reach us at GonnaGeek.com.
Tweet me at John Lobster. But so what I want to talk about right now is how the Flash's powers are depicted, because he's definitely not as fast.
Yeah. I mean, how fast could that truck have possibly been going?
I think 60, it's kind of a limitation of the animation, maybe, because in the show in general, he doesn't move very fast, it looks like.
No, but still, in the storytelling, that van was moving maybe 60, 70 miles an hour, tops. Absolutely tops. That's me being generous. And he had a hard time catching up to it.
Right, because they couldn't draw his legs moving fast enough.
Oh, that's why.
I think it was more for like dramatic effect. to show him in peril, because they kind of nerf Green Lantern as well.
Everyone's exactly as powerful as they need to be for that scene.
Right, for the plot, until like they need to stop a nuclear missile or something with their bare hands. But the Flash, he moves fast, but not fast enough to like get really out of the way of gunshots coming at him, the explosions, or really catch up with the van, except he's able to run around a couple fast enough to spin the debris into a dumpster across the street.
Right, and he can use the Speed Force as like telekinesis. He controls where it's going to land precisely.
Right.
Because that's science.
Yeah, science.
Science, bitches.
So we get kind of a less powerful version of the Flash, and he's still also really impulsive or brash. He's not really thinking things through the way he's approaching the problems. I felt like he, out of all of them, gets himself in trouble a couple times.
He's not the Barry Flash, is he?
He is, I believe, Wally West in this incarnation.
Okay.
All right.
Again, that's significant because that would have been the Flash in the comics at the time.
Right.
Barry Allen would have passed on his mantle at this point.
All right. Now, can we please talk about his psychedelic trip?
Where he's Fat Flash, and then he's super skinny, and then he's big-brained, and then he's a puppet.
And there's puppet, and he's falling, and I'm like, what did they shoot him up with? I mean, there were some hard drugs in that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And I want to know where I can get some.
You just got to find a mind-controlling gorilla, and you're good to go.
I mean, at first I thought they were sort of like playing on his fears. Like, obviously his power is his sort of athleticism, and so he's seeing himself as overweight and kind of freaking out. But then they did the exploding head, and I was like, okay. And then maybe the puppet thing I can get, but
that's some
the rest
Woodstock
of it was just
drugs.
Weird, yeah. Bad trip, like, man. Bad trip.
I mean, think about it. Try and write. You can't write that stuff unless you are tripping yourself.
There are a lot of episodes with scenes like that, and I kind of wonder what was going on in that writer's room.
They just probably thought, well, we need something that's visually interesting here. What can we do?
We can do acid. That's what we can do.
Absolutely.
And let's write it down, and then have our animators draw it. Let's have them do acid, too. Everyone take a hit of acid.
What do you think that will look like? I don't know. Here, drink this. Then tell me. Lick the stamp and then tell me.
Yeah. So that was fun, and I kept thinking, wait a minute, was this an animated series for kids? Yeah, it was. It was.
There's a lot of like innuendo and stuff in this series that's definitely not for kids.
And that's what I love about this type of stuff and a lot of Saturday morning cartoons. When you watch them back as an adult, you're like, oh, yeah.
They really said that?
That's why it's enjoyable. It's why it's enjoyable, too. And let's be clear, we are all adults, and we watched a Saturday morning cartoon for this podcast.
Yes, this is true.
And enjoyed the hell out of it.
Who are you calling an adult? I'm old, but I'm not an adult.
Okay, so then Lantern goes and gets Flash out of jail.
Was the cop supposed to be Joe?
I kind of wondered that. I wondered if it was supposed to be Joe and Officer Pretty Boy.
Yeah, I got that same vibe.
They didn't give any names for either of these guys, so there's no way to be sure.
I even looked in the credits. They didn't have names. So
okay, so then they're going out, and Flash is telling his story about what happened, and Lantern's like, please, give me a break. And he's like, hey, we've both got a Martian's phone number on our speed dial. I think I deserve the benefit of the doubt here. And I really liked that, because there's a lot of shows like this where something a little crazier than usual will happen, and they're like, that's impossible. And it's like, dude, everything we've been through, and you're going to say this thing is impossible? So I like that they're just like, no, it's completely within our sphere of what happens.
I did dig that. That was good.
And in the second episode, obviously, they bring in some other characters from the Justice League, but they're on the Watchtower, which is their floating
dildo in space
station headquarters. Well, yeah.
It kind of was, wasn't it?
Yep. I mean, they're definitely going full tilt crazy with the extreme of the Justice League here. I don't think we're going to see the Watchtower in the upcoming Justice League movies, but I could be wrong. I think it'll be more like the Hall of Justice.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
In the halls of justice.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Justice.
Who used to do that voice? There was somebody really famous who used to do that voice. Meanwhile, in the Hall of Justice.
I don't know.
That's what I remember as a kid, watching really early incarnations of Justice League and Superman.
Friends.
Yeah, Super Friends. That's what it was, Super Friends.
Yep.
And I felt so bad because they always tried to do something with Aquaman. They tried to,
Aquaman sucks.
Aquaman totally sucks.
Hey, Jason Momoa, he's going to redeem it.
Yeah, Jason Momoa does not suck.
No, he doesn't. He's going to be Aquaman, right?
Yep.
They did in the 90s, they went dark with Aquaman and cut off his hand. So he had a spear for a hand, and he grew a beard and grew his hair out. So he was kind of like this grungy looking pirate dude.
He was grunge. Aquaman.
He was totally grunge.
They did that with him in this series too, in this Justice League cartoon.
Oh, do they?
Yep. They have him in like a 2-part episode. And at the end of it, they chop off his hand. But that's the look he's got. He's got the beard. He's got the long hair.
Yeah.
He's kind of a badass.
Yeah, I feel like you could do Aquaman cool. It's like Wonder Woman. It's finding the right tone and then fully embracing it. You can't just like half-ass it, because then it's just going to come off as camp.
Right. Okay. So Flash and Lantern are on the case now. And they track down Officer Gorilla, who shows us the paperwork from his briefcase. Just like your normal gorilla.
Which I love that he had a tiny paperclip on it. Like,
I know.
How are your gorilla hands going to handle that? No.
Yeah, like he should be using binder clips. Much more practical for him.
Which, by the way, was driving me nuts that this gorilla's voice was somebody who I recognized, and I couldn't figure out who the hell it was. So I had to IMDb it. Or no, I didn't do it. I waited to the end of the credits, and I had to look at. It's David Ogden Stiers from MASH with Solivar.
I've never seen MASH, but okay.
Of course you haven't.
He was the Reverend Purdy on the Dead Zone TV show.
Yeah, he's done a lot of.
Yeah, he does a lot of character acting.
A lot of character acting. But the first time I ever saw him was as Major Charles Winchester on MASH. And then after that, that's all he will ever be to me. Anyway, you're young, I'm old. I can't forget.
Hey, I know who he was.
There we go. Yeah, and then Grodd was Powers Booth, and I could just say that name to you, but he's the guy that even more so that you go, oh yeah, that guy who actually has been in everything.
Like what?
Like everything.
Everything.
Oh, everything. Okay, got it.
Everything. Okay, I'll tell you right now. He was in Sin City. Let's see. He was.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at his picture now. Yeah, he's been in everything.
Yeah, you see his picture, and you're like, yeah, I recognize him from everything. He's always the asshole dad.
Mm-hmm.
He always plays the jerk dad.
Or politician, or
politician,
something like that. Yeah.
He was Colonel Faith in MacGruber.
MacGruber.
He was the president in 24, the movie. What? I think that's a different 24. No, he was the president in 24. And he was in Deadwood and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, he always plays a politician or a baddie or a sheriff.
At best, he's slightly douchey.
Yeah. Anyway, there are some big names doing a lot of voiceover stuff on Justice League and other cartoons.
Well, yeah, because it's probably like 1 day, 2 days of work, get a big fat check.
Yeah, and you could make a lot of money doing voiceover. One of my best friends is a voiceover talent agent. So we have a drinking game. Every time somebody mentions a celebrity, if he's repped them, you drink. We drink a lot.
All right, well, if you want to go way back to sort of our nerd origins, the guy who did the voice of Martian Manhunter, Carl Lumbly, was Bulldog on an episode of Battlestar Galactica. He's the guy who they rescue, the Viper pilot who shows up.
I remember that guy.
Yep.
I remember Ronald D. Moore, when he did his podcast commentary, was saying, they really liked this actor and he was great and everything, but he had practiced doing all of his lines with this like Southern gentleman accent. So then when he came in and they were like, no, don't do that. It was really hard for him to do some of the scenes.
There you go.
Oh, no.
All right. So that's sort of the cast of the Justice League show. Oh, and I didn't met the Flash, the guy who does the voice of the Flash. Did you catch who it was?
I didn't look it up.
All right. So it's Michael Rosenbaum, who is Lex Luthor on Smallville, does the voice of the Flash.
Oh, him!
Yep, that guy.
It's all connected.
It's literally all connected. And of course, Batman, Kevin Conroy from Batman the Animated
Right,
Series.
he's always Batman.
Yeah, at least good Batman.
Right.
Not the George Clooney.
Oh my God, that's an embarrassment.
George Clooney wasn't terrible as Bruce Wayne. It's just, it is an awful script.
Oh, come on. When he pulls out his Bat credit card?
Right, but he didn't write that. He didn't write that Batman pulls out a Bat credit card.
You're right.
It was all bad. I'm sorry. His agent should not have let him do that. Okay, so what's next?
Grodd shows
takes
up.
over.
Yeah, in Gorilla City.
Well, no, he takes over Central City.
Oh, Central City, that's right.
To the Gorilla City where the grass is green and the
bananas fly pretty.
I don't know.
Where humans are slow, ugly, immoral, and have an unpleasant body odor.
Unpleasant body odor.
He's right
You will
about
be
that.
the bricks that I shall pave a new city. And they're all like, yes, pave us into your seat.
Grodd.
Yay!
And Lantern tells Flash not to heckle the supervillain.
I love that.
That's a great line.
Flash, don't heckle the supervillain.
There's some good meta stuff in this.
Right.
It's self-referential. They poke fun at it.
You should be climbing up the top of a building.
Yeah.
Get your stinking paws off me, you filthy human.
That was brilliant. I love that. If you didn't catch that, that's from Planet of the Apes, and that's what.
Yeah, even I knew that.
I know, but some people didn't.
So then, Officer Gorilla. Oh, they capture in Gorilla City. They capture a bunch of the Justice League, and Officer Gorilla Scarface comes in.
Can we back up a second?
Okay.
Because I want to talk about introducing the other members of the Justice League. We get Wonder Woman, Hawkgirl, and John John's Martian Manhunter. Now, all three characters can fly, as we see them do in the show. However, they are afraid for their lives when the plane that they are in is about to crash. They can all fly.
I've got a question about this. And maybe it's because I haven't been keeping up with the canon in many years. But when did Wonder Woman, when did she start have the ability to fly? When did that start?
When they realized that the invisible jet was stupid.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, why does she fly a jet if she has the ability to fly?
Because I don't think she used to have the ability to fly.
Right.
Yeah,
well, Superman actually didn't in his origins either. That's why, they used to say he can leap tall buildings in a single bound.
Right.
If he can fly, he doesn't need to do that. Well, he didn't used to be able to fly.
Yeah, Wonder Woman's powers kind of got upped, and she got this sort of like almost Superman level of strength, the ability to fly. She's super fast, I think, or faster than a normal person.
Faster than Batman, at least.
Yeah, she did the whole Superman thing where she stopped the missile.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, when?
And so Martian Manhunter, he's pretty cool. I don't know that much about him, but I guess he can obviously fly. He can phase through things. He's
a shapeshifter.
I believe he might be telepathic.
Yeah, he's telepathic a lot of times.
And then Hawkgirl obviously can fly, and she's pretty awesome.
She's an alien. She's got a little bit of anger management issues, I think.
I dug it. I'm like, okay, she's got an edge. She's got her mace. She's gonna.
And her and Lantern are totally hooking up off screen.
Okay.
They're not showing it, but it's definitely happening. Yep.
Or Wonder Woman and Hawkgirl in the fan fiction that I'm writing, the slash fiction. No.
Wonder Woman and Batman sitting in a tree. KISSISSIPPI.
You know that it's happening. You know it. All right. So anyway, they crash their jet into the invisible dome surrounding Central City. Literally, like crash into the ground, but then fly the plane to Africa.
I had the same problem with that because they get out and they're like, and it's all banged up, but then they fly it out.
It is torn to shit. Like they don't have time to fix it.
The Flash ran over there, fixed it really fast, ran home because he can fix things at super speed.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I think maybe they got a backup.
Green Lantern just lanterned it back.
All right, so I had a problem with Green Lantern in this too because the whole thing about Green Lantern is he can use his ring to make anything that he imagines. But not once in this episode did he imagine an actual thing. He made a force field. It was kind of like a ray that let him cut through stuff, and it helped him fly. But other than that, he didn't I thought maybe he would imagine a gun or imagine a car or something like that. But he just kind of flew around and zapped things with it.
Right, because this was the Flash's episode.
He can't make a car or a gun.
Yeah, he can.
He can?
That's kind of the problem with the Justice League, is that they're super powerful as a team,
they're
ridiculously powerful.
They are literally
and then they just set them up against one of their villains, and it's well, what's the rest of the team going to do?
Yeah. So the show has to kind of nerf them a little bit, make them weaker than they would normally be.
Unless it's their episode, and then they're awesome.
Yeah. But even that, the Flash, as we talked about, didn't quite match the level of power that he could have.
Yeah, really, they haven't. I'm halfway through the second season now, and they haven't really done much with the Flash at this point. I think they had him accidentally shift them all into a different universe at one point, but that's it.
Right.
No, you know what? Something else did that. He didn't even do that.
Can't even do that.
if you're not familiar with the Green Lantern, the power ring that he has, the green ring is the ring of willpower. So literally using his strength of will, he can create anything that he can imagine with the ring. So he could create a airplane. He could create a giant gun. He could create a giant fist and just smack Gorilla Grodd down.
Which he does sometimes. He just doesn't do that this episode.
Right. Anything that he can think of. So I feel like in this episode, they kind of really don't match the level of ability that he has.
Right. There's an episode where he literally tows their spaceship back home from another planet because he's just that powerful.
That's amazing.
All right. We have one more flashline we've got to address. You're the gorilla of my dreams.
I love that. That was great.
And then the lady doctor loved the psychotic gorilla all along.
Well, it was an internet romance.
Right. It's always a love story.
Cross species pollination does not work. So
half the Justice League gets captured. And they can't do anything. Like Martian Manhunter can't phase out of his handcuffs. Wonder Woman can't break them. But Batman is able to like pick them with a paper clip.
Exactly.
Right, because he's Batman.
I had that in my notes too. Yeah.
Of course he is.
He's the goddamn Batman.
Yeah, because they're in an alternate universe, right? Kind of like, not really, because they're phased out, right? They're in
they're still in Africa. It's just the city's kind of cloaked.
Yeah, it's like it's hidden as a big giant rock or mountain or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's got a shield.
Right. But they have a completely different technology than we do.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, paperclip, Batman, of course.
It's Justice League proof, except for Batman.
And the Batarang that goes right into, I think it was Wonder Woman's cuffs that she was able to break out of, yeah.
Yep. And then I love when they're all flying away, and then Batman just shoots his thing up and swings.
Like Spider-Man.
He has to run to keep up.
Yeah, Batman and the Flash are the only two in this Justice League that can't fly. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. And then all the gorilla people are like, oh, there's another one as Batman runs by.
I just can't wrap my brain around Gorilla City. It's
another flashline he mentions, whenever you see a city this empty, there's like brain-eating zombies or something.
Oh, I did like that, yeah.
He's like, you watch too many movies.
You don't watch enough.
Yeah, it was good. So the missiles are heading for... So I don't understand, like Gorilla Grodd wants to destroy all the gorillas? Like, what's his play here?
Yeah, he's mad at them for being mean to him or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's got issues.
If his goal is gorilla domination, why is he killing all the gorillas?
I think his goal is Grodd domination.
Yeah, he doesn't really care.
Right.
So he's going to nuke all of the gorillas in Africa, but the Justice League is able to almost stop every single missile, except the one that hits Wonder Woman in the face.
And buries her.
Right, but luckily it doesn't detonate on impact. Like, it smashes through a building and crashes on the ground on top of her, but it doesn't go off.
Yep. Science, engineering.
Yeah.
Come on, engineering girl.
Magnets, bitches.
And then Batman is super concerned and starts digging at the rubble. And then Martian Manhunter, who, I'm sorry, he could just phase through the rubble.
Right, he could just reach through and grab her.
Yeah, just grab Wonder Woman and pull her out and she'd be fine. Or frickin' Green Lantern could just lift the damn thing up, but whatever.
No, Lantern wasn't... Oh, yeah, he was there. No, he was unconscious somewhere, wasn't he?
Yeah, something.
No, that's right, yeah, because he got hit with shrapnel.
He was just too damn slow to catch up. So, anyway, Batman's freaked out because he thinks Wonder Woman's dead, and lo and behold, she's fine. She pushes the thing up.
But she sees that his hands are dusty because he was
Wonder
digging
Woman
for her.
This was a badass. Yeah, she sees that he'd been digging for her and plants a smooch right on his cheek, and he blushes in his bat pants.
We saw what you did there.
Yeah. All right, so what did you guys think of this animated interpretation of The Flash?
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the writing that they gave The Flash was a lot of fun. It was a little bit meta at times. It's not something that I would plop down a lot of money for, but I had it was fun. I had it on, and it's massive plot holes here and there, of course, but I don't expect much.
It was still fun.
Yeah, if I was a kid, I don't think I watched this when I was younger. I was probably a little too old at this point, but I think if I had watched this as a kid and didn't know that much about the Justice League, I would probably dig it.
Yeah, it was enjoyable, thoroughly.
I think we'll probably return to some of these animated stuff because, again, there's not that much Flash stuff out there. I mean, I'm sure at some point we'll touch on the 90s series, but...
Yeah, when we've got some off weeks and when we're on hiatus, we'll definitely be going back to some of this stuff.
That's the one that we do a running commentary on.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure we can come up with a great drinking game for this.
Every time he puts on his muscle suit... Take a drink.
If any of you guys have something you think would be good for us to watch during an off week or something like that, go ahead and let us know. Adam told us about another Grodd episode, as it happened to be, But if the other listeners have any ideas of what we should be watching, go ahead and let us know.
I'm digging the talking apes.
If you'd like to tweak Haley's OCD and suggest some Flash comics for us to read,
right,
and force her to read them out of order.
If you make a recommendation that's really good and it's like less than 5 issues of run, I will read it out of order for you guys because I love you guys so much. But it's going to drive me nuts for years.
And again, we're not Flash experts, but we're learning, and we're, I think, through the show on the CW, certainly picking up some of this backstory and Easter egg type stuff, obviously, that we're seeing. So,
yeah, we're not Flash experts, but we do play them on the internet.
Absolutely.
We're enthusiasts.
And speaking of Flash on the CW, do we have a new episode coming up?
Yes. Next week we got episode 5, Plastique.
Plastique. One word. Plastics.
See, you're saying that to the wrong person. Haley has no idea what that reference is.
Haley?
Probably not.
Okay. The Graduate?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
It was that movie was made way before she was born. I was like maybe 3 or 4 when that movie came out. So
go back and listen to Art House Legends on the GonnaGeek Network where we talk about The Graduate.
Right. If any of you guys would like to let us know why you do or don't like the show, you can go ahead and leave us an iTunes review. I think we're worthy of at least 2 stars. What do you guys think?
I agree.
I think we just watched a Saturday morning cartoon show. We deserve 2 stars.
Or 2 beers.
That's even better. Forget this whole star nonsense.
Judge us on beer content.
This has been Crimson Comet, Episode 5. Join us next week as we discuss The Flash, Season 1, Episode 5, Plastique. Until then, I'm Haley.
I'm Lobster.
And I'm Rum Daddy.
Bye.
Later.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, you can find all of our contact information at crimsoncometpodcast.com. Find us on Twitter at Crimson Podcast or Facebook at facebook.com/Crimson Comet Podcast. Leave us a voicemail at 423-FLASH53. That's 423-352-7453. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual host and do not represent GonnaGeek. The podcast is not affiliated with DC Comics, Warner Brothers, or the CW. No infringement is intended. The music heard is by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com.